Swinder, once again. The reason for this video, this box right here, I'm going to show you what it is. There's no rattle, so you can't try to tell what it is. It's not a Christmas present. Well, unless you're out in the woods and you need to make a fire, then it is a Christmas present. Okay, so the past couple of weeks I have been watching some things on YouTube about kayak fishing. Of course, I've always got the survival videos that I go back to every once in a blue moon, and I watch some of the guys that I know. And excuse me, my hay fever's really giving me it's giving me a fit. And I don't like Benadryl, so I've been going through some stuff, and there's this one guy who I like, and I watch his videos from time to time, and how they make up different kits. Some challenges that they do between each channel is, like the Altoids kit, and you got to put stuff in there that you can live overnight, you can survive overnight with. So, making micro kits, making ammo pouch kits and stuff like that. So, like taking a basic ammo pouch and, turning it into a survival kit. The name of his channel escapes me, but I will post some of his videos on my channel, on my page, later so you can see him. So getting to this is, okay, so I've been watching these videos and I've been going through some stuff, and we were getting ready to go on our camping trip in October, and I've been looking around and I'm like, there's some things that I needed because I was missing gear from all these years, and you know how it goes. So I started looking around at different things and started looking at videos, and I don't have a lot of money, so I gotta kind of do things on a budget. And with two little girls as a single dad, everything is a budget to me. So basically what I had to do is I had to figure out what was the best way to make fire. So this is my tinder box, my fire box. And I'll explain it to you real quick. Basically, I've been watching these guys put fire boxes together and the different contents that they use inside of them, and this thing is packed, and it's a little heavy, but this is something you would want in your pack. This is something that you would actually suffer the weight to have this in your pack if you've ever needed something like this. And I think you're going to like the ideas that I came up with for this. And there are some substitutes that you can make in this to make it your own personal pack. These are just ideas. This is basically more or less your Walmart dollar store basic fire / kind of survival maintenance kit. Nothing really survival about it in here except for the fact that you can make fire, and there's many different ways that you can make fire in here. Given the fact that some stuff that these guys had I didn't have access to, like certain types of fire tinders and stuff, I didn't have access to getting them. Some places that I went to didn't have them, blah 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 blah. And some places out in the woods that you go to where there's pine trees, you can find the specific type of wood that you want. Fire tinder wood that you can use to make fire with. But there are poor man's ways and alternatives to making stuff like that. And kind of in an urban outfit or an urban setting, pine trees are not, everywhere. So what would be the best thing that I could do that would help me and aid me in making fire? So I want to get, it's like I want to do this introduction right, and I want you to understand why I made this kit. But why I'm probably going to be making a bunch of these kits up and stuff like that. But okay, so basically I've been watching these survival, videos. Well, not survival videos, but guys who do survival tactics and stuff like that, and all these different things, and crossbow videos and fishing kayak videos. And then I've been getting into this stuff because I miss it. It's been a long time since I've had nature around me. Been living in the concrete jungle for a little too long. So to get about this is, okay, so everything in here either came from Walmart or the dollar store, or I already had. So all the contents in here are fairly inexpensive and cheap. Like I said, there are alternatives that you could make in here, but I want to be completely honest with you. When you start making alternatives, the price of this box goes up, this kit goes up. This was my way of being able to make fire in the most inexpensive way. The box, I think, is like $5 or $6 at Walmart. It's the blue rubber sealed waterproof box. As you can hear, not much shaking around in there. It's packed pretty good. Alright, and we're going to open it up. And the first thing you're going to notice is this lime green, yellowish kind of rag. Being a waterproof box, you're out in the rain, some things are going on, you're trying to make a fire, you got to have dry hands to be able to touch some of this stuff. So this is to help dry your hands, maybe dry your face. And in an emergency situation, you could cut this into strips and you can make fire. So there's one way of making fire. And or just keeping things dry and keeping them from, getting wet. You could put this over top of the box to keep stuff wet while you're doing your thing and trying to get the fire done or whatever the situation might be. But mainly it's dry your hands. That's something dry for actually if you're out in, something dry. Okay, fairly inexpensive. It was a 2-pack of these D-rings. Of course, they're made in China, but the dollar store stuff, it was $1 for 2 of them. I took the red one for this pack. Basically, you'll notice everything's kind of red and bright orange. There's kind of a reason for that. So in the middle of the night, if I'm trying to make a fire, I want to be able to see the things that I'm going to use visibly. And it's kind of like fire red, orange, red, kind of a trend there. Not everything in here is red, but for the better part, everything in here that I would need that's an emergency situation, there you go. This can be used for anything. Of course, you're not going to hang, 40 pounds off of it or 100 pounds off of it or 500 pounds off of it, but this could be used to rig up, on a little tripod that you make from a couple of logs over a fire. You could take and put your pot over a fire with this, line it up. You could rig this up. You can tie this to the box and hang the box somewhere in your tent so you know where it is. It's just something in here that, you never know when you can use it. So, D-ring. A pair of needle nose pliers. Now, I know you're going to be like, really? Why? For a whole bunch of different reasons. I buy the pack of the hair ties, the black rubber band hair ties. It's specific ones without the metal on them. And I buy these, and they're $1 a pack, I think, a 10. And they're just to keep these from flopping apart. But I use these bands on everything. I mean, literally like everything. If I need, a band to band something up, I use these to do it with. Alright, so they're needle nose pliers. These are used to hold matches. These could be used to hold tinder. These could be used to, bend wire, whatever. Come on. Use your imagination. If you use 550 cord and you ever get to a situation where you need it flat and you don't want the innards to it, take the innards out, roll them up, stick them in your tinder box, because you can use this in an emergency situation. Even though this is kind of toxic, it's like burning plastic, it's nylon. But in an emergency situation, if you need something to start a fire with, you could use this. So, or you could use, there's enough here that I can use this to hook this hook up to a canteen cup, and I'm boiling up some water. So it's nice to have some string in your fire kit. It just, smart, makes sense. I don't see a lot of guys have, string in their fire kit. So I just thought I'd be the one guy that did. Alright, so needle nose pliers for holding things. Of course, you're going to say, well, RJ, why don't I just get a multi-tool? You could do that. Once again, multi-tools are anywhere between $40 to $100. That's, you know, if you want a mini one, they're $30. Really cheap Chinese ones, if you want to, you know, you want to trust your life on that, then fine. Get a mini, Chinese one for $10, $12. Stick it in here. That's on you. But I'm just trying to keep the price of the kit down. And so I figured, I also like individual things too. Anyway, it's, you know, not always trying to hold a pair of pliers. So that's probably my thinking into that. For $1, I got this mini little flashlight. Took a piece of 550 cord, put it on the end of it for a reason. It was silver, so I towed it down a little bit with some real tree tape. The reason why that is there is so that when I'm in the woods, say it's a dry evening, I can put that in my mouth without using my teeth on that. And I have control of where my light goes while I'm trying to make a fire. $1 at the dollar store. One thing about these is that you gotta make sure you turn them enough to turn them off, because you know they will push in. Okay, dollar store matches. Why not? You can make fire with them. But there is one thing about dollar store matches that we all know: they burn kind of quick. So what I did was I took some old candles that I had around the house, an old pot that I didn't like anymore. I burned the candles down, took the wicks out of the wax as it melted. Kept the wicks because, once again, this is a way of making fire. If you can spark this with a ferry rod, or you have a dry match, or you have a dry lighter, this is going to help you make fire. Okay? So don't discard your wicks. Waste not, want not. Okay? Do not discard your wicks. Now, these are the larger wooden matches. I don't know if you can see it. They're kind of got like a little bit of a reddish tint on them. The thing about pine is that when a pine tree damages itself, it sends a resin, which is called tine, up into the part where it's damaged. And that's how you get waxwood. And waxwood is a great accelerant starter wood to make fire with. And it's kind of coveted by bushcrafts and all those other guys. So, and survivalists. So basically what I did was I took wax, and you cannot make your wax boiling. It's just simmer it, low heat. And you take the wax and you put the match in there, and you let the air come out of the match and bubble up while the wax goes into the pores of the wood. And it makes the matches not waterproof, but makes them water resistant to a degree. And they will burn longer, and they will help you start fire. So that's another thing that I did that I've seen other people do, and I thought was a good idea. Poor man, water resistant matches. Instead of spending the $20 for the Colemans, I spent $1. Actually, I would have spent, if I didn't have the candles, I would have spent $2 at the dollar store for the matches and the candles, and then the old pot. You know, everybody has an old pot around the house they don't use anymore that's nasty and just hasn't seen the light of day in a moment. Just use that, and don't boil your wax, please. That's one hell of a mess you don't want to have. Once again, dollar store matches is the pack of matches that you get in little earth on them and all. Did the same thing, one at a time. You don't want to do them in clumps, because then they'll clump together and they won't go back in the pack. You got to brush them apart. You just stick them in that wax, the hot wax, while they bubble up. And when they're done bubbling up, stick them on a plastic or wax sheet, or some aluminum foil, and boom, let them dry, put them back in the pack. A lot of guys I've seen put tea lights, you know, so I put one tea light in there. It's smart. I mean, you could, if you had to heat something up, or if you had to make, you know, a fire, this could be one way. This could be a way of, you know, you could use some of the wax, and it's just so many different ways of doing things and just being smart about it. Tea light. You know, everybody else that I've seen make these boxes put one in there, so I put one in there too. Thinking, hey, I'll be like the rest of the crowd. Another thing that's a great fire starter or a great tinder is take a little Altoids box or a large one, and you take cotton balls and you push them and rub them into and infuse them with Vaseline. And these are large cotton balls, so I can cut these in half, and each one will give me 6 burns, 2 burns each. And that actually burns really well. It's a great accelerant. The Vaseline soaks into the cotton ball. And the cotton ball, I tested this outside on a plate and the hose and in the rain, and it did pretty good. I was quite impressed what it took to put these out, and I was quite impressed at how well they started a fire. So Vaseline and cotton balls. I bought a fire striker. So when I bought the fire striker, they had these plugs, these tinders, and they're basically cotton plugs that are treated with some kind of an accelerant. And I mean, they just look like a little, you know, or hairball. So I stuck them in the icebreakers box because it's just better than that piece of plastic bag that they had. It was yuck. So this was better. So I put this in there. It fit. You could put it in anything. This would actually give you more room. So that would be up to you. Once again, this is a kit that I put together that, you know, basically came from Walmart and the dollar store that could help you make fire, save your life, cook water, whatever. So pay attention. Extra batteries for my flashlight. I always try to put an extra pack of batteries in every one of my bags, including my ruck. So I have batteries distributed throughout my load so that when I need them, I got them. So I try. Now you could omit these out if you don't need them. If you want to keep them in for your flashlight, that's up to you. Hey, forget about it. Another thing, I know you're going to say kind of redundant, but you're like, well, why would you do this for fire? But the dollar store had them for $1. Hey, forget about it. And I thought to go with the needle nose pliers, kind of having like a little mini toolkit in here also to go along. Never know what you might need it for, but these little mini screwdrivers, you don't have to have them. You might say to yourself, well, if you got that and a knife and this, why don't you just have a multi-tool? And that would cut a lot of weight down. And you're right. But the way I do things, it's a little differently because I kind of like having this separate. I don't want to mess my multi-tool up. Yeah, I could buy a mini one, but a mini one wouldn't be this big. There's a lot of reasons behind it. There's a lot of, you know, reasons why I use needle nose pliers for things. That's all. It's just how it is. These you can omit out, but once again, I thought it was a great idea to have a little tiny toolkit because I don't have a toolkit with me, and I don't always work those pliers. Sometimes those pliers aren't the greatest things in the entire world. You pay $80 anywhere in the upwards for a really good multi-plier kit like Gerber, Leatherman. You could pay anywhere between $80 to $169, and they're really not that ergonomic, and they can be painful sometimes. It just, to me, this made sense. Little screwdriver, Phillips. I can fix things with this. Should my, you know, something break on my fishing rod, something break on my crossbow, got it. Another thing in here that might be senseless to you but made sense to me was they have at the dollar store, it's a 6-pack of the bale wire, 2 orange, 2 black, and 2 silver. I got a couple packs and distributed them out through my load and the camp load. And basically, you could put this around your canteen cup, use it as a handle. You could use this for multiple things. Once again, you can use this with the D-ring. Hang your pot off the top of your tripod over your fire. There's 1,000,001 uses. You be the judge. You dig what I'm saying? These are just merely suggestions, but the main suggestion is that you actually build one of these kits. I did it as cheaply as I possibly could. Everything in here can help me. Another thing I've seen a lot of these guys put in is crazy glue or super glue or some type of derivative of super glue, crazy glue, small little tubes. And a lot of them say you can use this to make fire. Now, in a really dire, and I mean dire, emergency situation, would I only recommend you using super glue or crazy glue to make a fire, because this stuff is poisonous, and it's the same as using nylon rope to make a fire. You really don't want to cook with it after you've made the fire. So using this is an absolute, complete, total, if all else fails, you're completely shot and you've got no other alternative, but you have this, then yes, a striker, which is this right here, and this will get some wood burning. But I would suggest that if you want to cook on a fire that you've used this to make the fire with, you better let this cook off, or get the fire to be large and then get rid of whatever you use to make. Just don't, unless you absolutely have to. Reason why I have this in here is because if something breaks, I can temporarily fix it with super glue or crazy glue long enough until I can get back to base camp and do whatever. Of course, if you get a bad gash and you've got no first aid kit, this is not the greatest thing in the world to use. I do not recommend using it, but it will heal up a wound. That's if you're a hardcore infantry grunt like me that don't give a shit. So, moving on. Everybody in their box has a lighter. I kept mine orange in case I drop it. Nah, find it. Unless this gets wet, this is going to work 1,000 lights, and it's going to help you get fire. Is it going to be easy? Sure, be smart about it. But there you go, orange lighter. Yes, there's a knife in here. Yes, it has 2 blades. This is an old Swiss Army knife that I've had since, probably about 20 years. It's been sitting in my dresser drawer of my jewelry box, and now finally, after all these years, it has a purpose because it is now part of this kit, and it's going to go camping with me. Why is this in here? This is in here to shave wood. This is in here to cut whatever you need to cut as far as rope, tinders. If you want to cut a cotton ball in half, say you don't have many cotton balls left, now you want to cut them in half. This is to do all of the cutting jobs that you normally would associate with a fire. Could I use other knives? Will I have other knives on me? Sure, of course. But would I use this? Probably, because this is one of my favorite knives to use. You could always use a dollar store knife. I wouldn't suggest it. I'd always suggest try to get a good knife if you're going to put it in a kit like this. Yeah, it does kind of expand the expense of the kit. If you want to be frugal, get those folded up little hideaway scissors that silver for $1 at the dollar store. I have a pack of them in my medic bag, and you can omit this. And like I said, this is probably one of the important things you might want to keep in this kit, because this is going to save your knuckles from getting burned while you're trying to get a fire starting. Now, these other things to me are just, a little extra weight, but I'm going to use them. I have a feeling I'm going to use them. I just know I am, especially having a crossbow. And then again, I might take these out of the kit, put them with my crossbow. I don't know yet. Probably not. I also have a multi-tool. I paid like $80 for it. whatever. So, you know, like I said, poor man's budget fire kit. So tried to keep the cost down. Everything in here is basically $1 unless I already had it or it's something expensive at Walmart. Like I said, the case is like $6. I got this at Walmart. It's a fire striker. It's not the $15 Bear Grylls, you know, Gerber. It's not a $26 furrow rod. I'm sure there's other places that you can buy furrow rods for $14 and get a flint steel and all that other stuff. This was $4 at Walmart. It works. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. You know, you know, so I'm very confident that if I needed to start a fire, I could do that with this. So I bought this. I didn't have one, so I had to get one. $4 at Walmart. This is for that person who cannot get out to the urban outfitters or the outdoor outfitters and you know, get all these nifty stuff. This is someone who's in the city who wants to prep but doesn't have a lot of money. This kit's right here. This is it for you. Of course, you got to do some manufacturing to get the kit complete. But, you know, now I always say to you, and I will say this forever, UCO waterproof matches. These are the only, in my mind, the only waterproof matches on the planet. Orange container, waterproof, has the striker on the outside. UCO waterproof matches. You can get these at Walmart. $6, I think. They come in a waterproof container with an extra striker. This is what they look like. I know some of the dirty minds out there are going to be like, ha ha, no. Don't. Shh. Don't make no comments. So these actually will burn underwater. Stick it in a glass of water, it's still going to burn. So these are very smart to have. These are your great last resorts. If you're good at making, if you're a Boy Scout like I was, or if you're good at making fires, a lot of this stuff you should be able to use throughout your entire camping trip, even when it rains, without having to use these. These to me are like gold, okay? And to me, these are like life's blood. And in a really, friggin' dire emergency, these are what you're going to want to have to start a fire in its worst moment of life when you need it the most. UCO waterproof matches. This here, this is only if you've lost your complete mind and you need a fire, then go for it. Use this. Make a fire with it. Enjoy. Just don't huff it, because you will die. Or you'll at least get so sick you'll wish you were friggin' dead. Another thing I put in here just as, an extra precautionary, because there's duct tape on the flashlight. You can use the duct tape for anything. I roll enough on there you can roll it around your hand. If you get burnt, you can use this as a gauze, or comes worst to worst, you can use this as a fire starter. We'll get to the blue box in a second. And then you got 3 bandages, just in case you burn yourself. These are the extra large ones. And I might put a packet of burn cream in here and a wet gel, and that would be it. Unless I come up with another inventive way of making fire that's small enough to put in this box. I think I've exceeded its maximum capacity at this point, but here we go. There's a way of taking a lot of this stuff, and since this box is completely waterproof, I could take a lot of this stuff out of the boxes and stuff that's in and just shove it in here, but I'm kind of OCD about that. Now, here's the piece of resistance. This is an old aluminum wallet that I used a couple of years back. I tried to use the aluminum wallet. I wanted to be the in guy and have the aluminum wallet like all the other guys did. This thing was an absolute piece of crap. It broke. It's hinged, messed up. I couldn't fit everything I had in it. My challenge coin kept falling out every time I tried to get a credit card or get $1 out. You put any more than $200 in here in 20s, this thing just, it explodes. So I had it laying around, and I'm going through all my junk boxes to find stuff that I could use. And so I found this. I ripped the guts out of it, and I have pine pieces in here. Well, let me explain to you why. Now, cinnamon. That's going to make that fire smell really friggin' good when we just get started. Okay, so here you are. You don't have an opportunity to buy waxwood. You don't have access to it. You're not in the forest. You're probably not the easiest accessible to any of these things that you would need to get waxwood. Say you don't really have the $18 to $20 for you to buy a waxwood kit from an outfitter's company or someone who sells it. There are guys who take the time to go find this stuff and then sell it online. So what you could do is you could take and do what I did when I call Urban Outfitters waxwood. And basically what it is the heat of the wax opens up the pores of the wood, so when you stick the wood into the wax, it starts to bubble. Well, you let it go until the bubbles stop, about usually 6 to 8 minutes. 9 to 10 minutes is really pushing it. Don't push it any more than that. And don't heat that up too much. Let it go natural. Nice low heat between 2 and 3. Okay? You get yourself a pine board. You cut yourself up some pine pieces. You dump them into the wood and you let it froth away. And then as soon as you're done, I took all of them. I cut them up into perspective pieces. Stuck them in this case so that they're not so much waterproof. Just in a container. Kind of like an Altoids box. And poof. I now have enough of these tinders to take my poor man's waxwood. And I tested these. It was raining outside the night I made these. I lit one up. I tossed it outside in the backyard on my concrete, and it continued to burn until there was nothing left of it. So I know these work. And it's just another way to be able to beat the odds of survival. So this is my Urban Bushcraft. And I hope you enjoyed it. This is my my tinder box that I'm going to take with me. I am very proud that I made it. I like a lot of the suggestions to a lot of the things that guys said that you should put in these boxes. So I went along with that. I did spend a little money, and basically total, you're talking about almost $22 basically to build this kit. But then the wax, if you already have old wax laying around, any wax will work. And an old pot, don't really want to have to buy one. Find one at a flea market for 25 cents. Use that. Basically the cost of this kit came in around about $22. And if you go to the right places, such as I went to Dollar Tree and Walmart, if you go to the right dollar store and you go to the right Walmart, you will find all this stuff there. It's all there. Especially in an urban dwelling, in the urban Walmarts, things can be kind of crazy. They don't always have everything. Especially Dollar Trees. They usually tend to be the dollar stores to get looted. And I don't mean it like that. But they're the ones that tend to get, beat up the most. Their inventory gets wiped out the most kind of quickly. So you got to be quick to jump. Every time a truck comes in, you got to be quick to jump to go in there with 20 bucks in your hand and go grab what you need or you want. So this kit was basically made up so that the urban dweller who is in the city, who wants to try to bug out, would have access to some of this stuff prior to a bug out or prior to a disaster. And just would take, matter of fact, it took me an entire weekend from Friday till Sunday night to put this kit together. And as a matter of fact, just today, I put the last couple of things that I kind of had in it, like the little mini flashlight that I got at the dollar store, the D-ring, and the screwdrivers. Of course, there's a lot of things that you could do to change it around and make it your own. I mean, yes, you could put mini Leatherman in here. You could use different types of matches. You could get real waxwood. You could get all that cool stuff. But I'm going to be honest with you. Your ability to make fire is probably going to be one of the most important things you're going to have when you're in an emergency or disaster situation. Your ability to be able to make fire, get warm, huddle up, and actually cook food and clean water, purify water through boiling it. You know, it's just makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. So think about what I said. Once again, it's urban bushcraft. And that's what it is. I'm going to take the last couple of seconds to show you while I'm going to put this back together again. I'm not going to do it like, I'm blindfolded doing it, and trying to be all super cool. I'm just going to talk to you while I put it back together again and explain to you again why I got what I got. Waterproof matches, no brainer. Do not be dumb. Buy yourself the waterproof matches. Of course, a flint and steel or ferro rod as they call them, and they gotta have that. That's the best way to make it. And let me tell you something, the best way to really make fire, if you're going to go out camping, the best way to do it, and that's not using matches, is your flint and steel and your cotton ball and your petroleum jelly. Because the cotton ball and the petroleum jelly, they burn at just a perfect rate. If you pull it apart just enough to open it up and aerate it, it will burn at the perfect rate. And it'll give you enough time to get your shavings in there, get your tinder in there, get your your kindling in there, and get yourself a nice little fire started so that you can start throwing a little bit more larger logs on there and trying to get yourself started to warm up. So, you really want to kind of consider that to be your primary source for how you're going to make fire. Waxwood is another thing with a ferro rod. Use the waxwood, ferro rod, you boom, done. It makes a lot of sense to do it that way, but waxwood can kind of be a bit of expensive, and it also can be very hard to find. So with that being said, because of its scarcity and its expense, when you do find a good piece of waxwood, it's probably going to cost you about $25 with shipping and handling. So, be prepared to spend a little coin, but, not try to get everything in here, not, rear end tight, but tight. I wanted to prove to myself that I could take common dollar store items and common items that you find in the house and make a fire kit that actually would work in the bush, out in the great unknown. So I really wanted to, kind of challenge myself in a way, and challenge myself in a way where all this stuff has to go in here a specific way, because if it doesn't, the lid will not shut. And then you're going to be looking at yourself and wanting to hit yourself in the head with this thing. You're going to be like, oh, I can't shut the lid. I got to do it all over again. So in my madness with the tea light and all that, I just, that was suggestions that I was following other guys who had been making these kits for a while. And they all suggested put a tea light in there. They suggested the mini Leatherman or a mini Gerber or a mini Chinese tool. They suggested a little mini flashlight or some kind of flashlight, like a hat flashlight or whatever. So a lot of different recommendations. The cotton balls and Vaseline. I'm saying that's the best way to make a fire if you're out in the woods or if you're just camping, period. And you want to make sure that no matter what, you're going to have a fire. That is the best way to do it. That's just through my experience. That's all. A lot of this stuff, like I say, you can omit. You can tweak this out. You can turn this into something completely different from what I did with it. This was me going on a challenge saying, hey, I can make a tinder box that will not only be waterproof, but it'll also have several different ways of making fire. It'll all fit in here the way I make it, the way I put it together, and it'll all have a general purpose. There's one thing I do want to do where I still have some room here. I want to put some 550 cord on this so that I have 550 cord and I have this and I can use the 550 cord. Even though I have this in here, I still kind of want to refrain from using this on anything around or near fire. Maybe I could use this as fishing line for an emergency. I could also use this to tie up, maybe tie up a lean-to. I might have an emergency blanket. I take a little bit of leaves, stick them, make a little, knot, and then tie that around there and into a tree. And, before you know it, you got a lean-to. So, a lot of different ideas, a lot of different things. So this is just basically a starter kit for you. If you were sitting there saying to yourself, if you had been watching any of these things, or if you were sitting there saying to yourself, I would love to prep, but gee, all that stuff is so expensive. If you've been online and you go to a lot of these companies out there that sell survival gears and survival kits and stuff like that, some of that stuff is rather cheesy. And I mean, if you're going to buy a $29.99 survival kit that's not going to have everything in it, okay, that's going to be made in China, okay, this stuff's way better. Also, you got to manufacture some of it. So this was a challenge for me. And I completed it. I was very happy with myself. Let me think. I mean, because honestly, there are a lot of high-end things out there. I mean, there's high-end ferro rods, there's high-end Leathermans, there's high-end this, there's high-end that. Like I said, I don't want a mini tool. I want something that's going to be a little bit, like I could actually do this, or I could take this, lash it to a piece of wood, lash it down so it can hold something and poke into the fire. I could use it, put a hook on the end of it, lash this down and put my fish on there and cook my fish over the fire. Who knows? Anything is possible if you just improvise. Adapt and improvise. 43. Alright, so 2 minutes, I'm out of here. This was, basically an idea that I came up with. This was something that was kind of a challenge to me. I wanted to see if I could do something like that. I found the box, and the next thing you know, boom, it flourished into this. Once again, it is rubber sealed all the way around. Once I get everything in there, you see, it just shuts. It's not protruding. None of the sides are pushing out. You can still see some of the stuff. And listen, all that stuff in there, and not a rattle, not one rattle. Tactical, baby. Yeah. So, here we go. RJ's take on a tinder box. And what I call the Urban Outfitter or the Urban Bushcraft tinder box. There you go. I hope you enjoy this video. I know it's 45 minutes long. I hope you listen to the whole thing because there's a lot of good ideas that I think I came up with that I'm kind of proud of myself. I want you all to take care of yourselves. I want you to be careful. And God bless. And remember, an ounce a measure of prevention. An ounce of prevention is a measure of, however that works. Just be careful, okay? Think about things. You know what I'm saying? One of these kits would be pretty nice to have around the house, especially if you lose gas and electric, or you lose whatever power or whatever. You can make a fire. So I will see y'all later. Take it easy. I did the wrap, the cord wrap on this. I was gonna actually make a video of me cord wrapping this, but it takes so long and I can't edit it. But the way I made it, that it's all tied into itself. This is tied into itself and then coming through and then braided certain point, then it goes back to smooth. Then this is pulled through, braided, pulled through again, braided, and then hand lanyard. And how this works is, if you ever thought, hey, what do you do with a hand lanyard? You just do that? No. This is how a hand lanyard works. You take the hand lanyard, you put your thumb around and through, and now you hold on to your weapon. If somebody should grab your weapon and pull it away, they can't pull it. They're just going to pull. Did you know that? I bet you didn't know that. But you know today that a hand lanyard actually is used like this. This is how you use a hand lanyard. You put it around your wrist, you put your thumb through it, loop, and boom, baby! Take care. Love y'all. Have a good one.